Hello, welcome back to Creepy and Kooky Cali vlog. This is Emma Lieberman. I know from Upright Citizens Brigade, back before times, before
before everything.
Yes, before everything. Yes, she was our tech for Pinup Squirrels, a team I used to be on with Kristen Lucas, who started it, who was on. We're gonna be interrupted. Brittany's crying. She was on the Pacific View episode. Kristen was a guest on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were our tech, and we loved Emma. Emma was our favorite. We were very sad when you left, but then Justin came, and he was
also
great too.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Just shout out to Justin Embry, but we only got him for 3 shows because then the world ended. So. But we are at Hillside Cemetery. Grimaldi's new thing is to cry in the beginning of all these. Yeah, we are at Hillside Cemetery, which I was at with Roz Stanley, and ironically, I actually met you for dinner after that episode.
No kidding.
Yeah. This is a full circle moment, but we got a lot of people in that episode, but we missed a lot of people too, and you're here to help me find some of those people, and you've added some people to the list, and it should be a fun day, so I'm excited. Let's get going. Emma just told me something that I've never heard before.
So apparently, the number one thing to find on a tombstone or like a grave marker or something anywhere in the world, the number one thing is "Told you I was sick,"
which I've never seen. I've been to like a lot of cemeteries. I've never seen that.
So I'm keeping an eye out on all the tombstones and the markers to find the person who has a sense of humor and put "Told you I was sick" on there.
I would love that.
Or something else funny.
Also, we're at Jack Benny's grave. We went to in the first episode, but here we are again.
Doesn't he have like the record for the longest ever laugh in radio?
Does he? I don't know. I feel like I don't know enough about Jack Benny, to be totally honest.
I hear you. I mean, like, he is much more like a radio personality than anything else.
Yeah.
But like, I could be remembering incorrectly, so take this with a grain of salt. But if I'm remembering correctly, I think he has the record for the longest ever laugh in radio, because on his show, the Jack Benny Show, his character was such like a miser, like just known for being a miser and playing the violin and all that stuff. And the joke is Jack Benny character is walking down the street and he gets held up by somebody, and the mugger looks at him and says, like, has a gun or whatever, and says, "Your money or your life." And there's a pause. The mugger goes, "Well," he goes, I'm thinking. And I think that has the record.
Wow.
Could be wrong. But it's certainly one of them. One of his best jokes.
Oh. Huh. Yeah, because he was a vaudeville guy too.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're coming back, because Roz and I kind of glazed over him when we found him, which was my fault. I think I was just looking for Aaron Spelling. We were going to go soon. Grimaldi, stop crying. You are at a comedy legends. Yeah. I don't know why you have to cry all the time now. But yeah. Look at all his flowers though. Like someone was visiting recently. When did he die? 74? And his wife died in 88? 83, I see it now. There's a glare. I mean, wow. Still loved.
Yeah.
Man, he was born over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
That's wild to me. Like, wow.
I mean, yet people that we still reference and know about, like, who influenced comedy today, born in the 1800s.
It's just not what you think, but it's totally true. We found Michael Landon's private grave. But what I like about it, though, is it's clear. There's a lot of private graves in Forest Lawn, Glendale, but they're completely locked away from public view. So this is kind of nice that you can see it. They can have some privacy, but I'm imagining there's a key to get in, but I'm not going to try to get in, so.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow. He's still lived.
We're in front of Aaron
Aaron Spelling's grave, which Roz and I also found, but we were chatting because you had a good point.
It must be so bizarre. Well, if you look at the grave, you'll notice that his name is there, but his wife's spot is still clear.
And it says, "Our love is eternal."
Yeah. I mean, couples often get their right together, but it must be so bizarre to like look at a stone or a plot or whatever it's going to be and like know that your body will be there.
That's kind of how my mom felt. Hi, Grimmy. My mom did not want to get, cause, my dad in the cemetery he's at has a flat headstone, and his parents, who died like 15 years apart, had like a joint headstone. So I guess my grandfather had this experience, but my mom, because my dad died pretty young, and so she was like, hell to the no, we're not gonna get my name with my birth date and then question mark question, or whatever. She's like, we're just gonna do a single, we'll figure it out later. And it's kind of interesting because as the years went on, like I remember a couple years before she died, I was trying to be like, Mom, what do you want? Because she didn't have anything like written down. And I was just like, do you want to go to Pennsylvania where Dad is? She's like, I don't know. I was like, do you want to go back to Chicago where your parents are? She's like, I don't know where I'll be living. Like she was so ambivalent about her after death plans. And so we ended up actually getting her cremated, and she's not in the cemetery. So I guess it's good that she doesn't have her name attached to a plot, both in life, so she didn't have to look at it and be freaked out, because that's what she was afraid of. But then also, well, she's not there. so that would be like a mystery. So I kind of respect that they don't have her name on there, because I guess should Candy's wishes change, like if she decides she wants to become a tree, like as we were just talking about that off camera, how that's becoming also a trend. It's not like they have to remove anything, and there's room for other family, or they can just move the font over to make it more center, but like it's also still clearly there for her, and it's our love is eternal, like so that's like it's pretty clear that's what's gonna happen. They're just not putting the name on yet. It's sad on top of sad. Because you're sad you're here for your husband, but then it's like a mortality check. Yes. For sure. It's pretty crazy because like every time I'm at one of these cemeteries, it's not every grave, but there's always one that I'm like, what if we bump into their relatives? I know. Because so many of them live locally, and so it's like they could be mourning, and it's like, what if like Tori Spelling just walked in right now? And give her space. Like I'm not saying, of course, but I wouldn't fangirl out or whatever. But it's just like that thought. There's always one grave that makes me be like, what if their relatives are here? And like what if Aaron we're actually really hurting somebody? Right. So it's kind of like, are we feel intrusive or So I am. Sorry, you have thoughts on this too. I'm sorry. I don't. But last time I was here, I had the same thought, but we were in such a rush to leave, I didn't say that, and now we're back here, and I'm like, oh my god. So it's LA is weird. I mean, for so many reasons. So many reasons, but you just don't know who you'll see, including in a cemetery. I've not had a celebrity spotting yet, but it'll happen. I'm sure it will. Happens everywhere else. Look at this. All right, we just found one of your peoples, Leonard Nimoy, who is Spock. Is that correct? Yeah, Spock in Star Trek. I'm kind of a rube, but that is actually a show that I do really want to see. I mean, highly recommend. If you're looking for like sci-fi, but with like thought and feeling and humanity behind it, with like philosophy and like a point of view that uses like sci-fi and like traveling through space to just like to explore the human condition and what makes us who we are. Star Trek is your series. It seems more interesting to me than Star Wars, which I can't give. I'm not a fan. I mean, I'm just like a nerd in that way. Like I love fantasy sci-fi, so like I'm happy with Star Wars, and it is like the quintessential hero's journey. So I love that. It was hard to follow though. I saw the original one from the 70s, and it was hard to follow. I'm like, why do we care about any of these characters? What's happening? What species are these? Takes a long time. I wasn't. Yeah, that's the only one I've seen. I know that over story structure with Star Wars, because like it is the classic hero with 1,000 faces, like perfect hero's journey. Writer, she's a writer. Can you tell? Can tell.
Although I think that is more like hero's journey action film, whereas Star Trek is like, there are action moments, but it's more about like what makes us who we are. Right. What is it to be human? You get that with both Star Trek and Star Trek The Next Generation, which is exciting.
It seems like the franchise just keeps going, which is kind of every franchise, but I feel like they were doing that before reboots happened.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Star Trek is like one of the original reboots. Because The Next Generation came out 18
Whoopi Goldberg
years.
was on it, right?
Yes, she was.
Whoopi Goldberg's career impresses me so much.
Whoopi Goldberg on that show is actually super cool. This is like a tangent, but it's super, super cool.
Let's do it.
Whoopi Goldberg, she'd already like made her name. She was already like a person. I mean, obviously a person, but you know what I mean.
She was already a comedy star.
Exactly. And she told Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, who also worked on The Next Generation, that she wanted to like be on Next Gen. And he was like, I don't know, we've already cast the main cast, like we already have that in place, like I don't know that we can do that. And she told him the story about how she knew that she could be whatever she wanted to be because she was watching the first Star Trek. And Nihara Nichelle, who plays Lieutenant Uhura in the original Star Trek, is a black woman who like isn't a maid, she's not a cook, she's not a slave. She just
correct
is a lieutenant.
Representation.
Exactly.
Yes.
And she remembers watching Star Trek for the first time and seeing Lieutenant Uhura and like running to the room and being like, oh my god, Mom, there's a black lady on TV and she's not a maid.
That's like heartbreaking, and I love that too.
Right? I mean, like Star Trek broke all kinds of barriers in terms of race on TV. It also has the first interracial kiss on TV, which like in real life they didn't actually kiss because executives from CBS were there and wouldn't let them. That's a whole other thing. But
okay, I gotta really watch Star Trek.
Highly recommend. But Whoopi Goldberg told that story to Gene Roddenberry, and he was like, "I'll write you a role," and that's how she got on Next Gen.
I love that because I think a part of like when you end up being in this business, your heroes mean so much to you. It's not like a superficial pop culture thing. It informs your taste, your view of the world, and a lot of what you're trying to do professionally. And I think it's all of our secret dreams to get to be a part of something that is a legacy to us.
Yes.
So I love that happened to her.
I know.
That's like really amazing because that does not always happen.
Yes.
And she seems like a great lady. Like there's not a lot not to like about Whoopi, in my opinion. So I mean, she deserves it. You know?
So Star Trek is super cool. Leonard Nimoy on it is super cool. Like he was just like, first of all, Spock is an iconic character. We all know about this thing. Like incredible. But Leonard Nimoy also, I'm gonna go on like a quick little tangent about this. He's also like a photographer. Like he like had a whole life as an artist aside from acting and aside from Star Trek. Like once after Star Trek was done, like he was so associated with Spock that it was hard for him to be like on camera and other stuff after that. You know, it's like you just got two. But he loved film, he loved photography. If you go to New York, on the Upper West Side, there's a place called Symphony Space, which is where like all kinds of like artistic.
She's a New Yorker.
I'm a New Yorker. But there's a place called Symphony Space where like bands will come through, comedians do shows. It's just like no, I don't want to say like avant-garde, but like not mainstream popular artistic works happen. And on the side, there's a little movie theater for like, you know, indie films, art house films. It's called the Thalia, and as of 15 years ago, it's called the Leonard Nimoy Thalia because he donated the money to have it built.
That's amazing.
Like he's in LA and he became an Angelino, but he's also a huge part of the New York art scene as well. Incredible man, incredible artist.
I love that. This is why I like cemeteries, even if I don't really, I knew who he was, but I don't like understand all of who he was. I learned something. It's nice to talk about people after they died and learn about the lives they had. This is why I like cemeteries.
It's nice to have like a place to remember what you did and like what you contributed.
Absolutely.
And how you changed the world, even if only a little bit. We all only change it a little bit. That's not like to say anything about him. We all only change it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's always a little bit for the positive.
It seems like he was on the positive side of the projects he did. So good for him. Life well lived, in my opinion. All right, Emma wanted to see this one too. I know the name more than I know who they are, but they have a pretty iconic grave. Like it's leaking a little bit right now. I don't really know what's going on here, but I mean, imagine having a fountain for all of eternity.
Oh, that sounds like such a dream come true.
This is pretty amazing. This is a great little family plot he has. Looks like he's the only one there so far, but yeah.
So far.
All right, so talk to us about him.
So Jerry Weintraub is this iconic producer. He was one of 2 independent producers to have a star on the Walk of Fame for his work.
That's cool.
He did a lot of concerts at first where he were, I just looked at the list and I don't remember all of them, but like Neil Diamond, Frank
Elvis
Sinatra,
Presley.
The Four Seasons, Led Zeppelin, the Carpenters.
Everyone who's ever been iconic in the 20th century.
Pretty much. Like, he produced concerts for all of them. And then he also produced a ton of films that we all know and love, like The Karate Kid and Ocean's 11 and Diner. It's a long list of stuff. Like, frankly, like, Google it. It's so long.
Yeah, we'd be here all day and just do this video.
But like, he was just such a visionary producer. He just made things happen as an independent, like not as like a major studio himself. He just was one of those guys who made stuff happen. Like an incredible force in Hollywood and entertainment history.
There's a couple of those here too. There's Bernie Brillstein, who's on my list. SNL and The Muppet Show. So there's a lot of, Aaron Spelling, Sherwood Shorts. There's just so many iconic movers and shakers in the cemetery.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like we tend to focus on people who are in front of the camera.
Yes.
Because they're the ones that we see and we feel like we get to know them.
Right. They're our friends. Yeah.
Exactly. But like the ones who make it happen do so much work and like, you know, like they get loved within the industry. But
sure.
Like, does someone know who they are when they go out to dinner? Not always.
Which is kind of the dream, to be like powerful,
Honestly,
but not like accosted by people all the time.
Like, right, like to be able to go grocery shopping.
That'd be amazing.
But also get to work in entertainment.
That'd be amazing. But yeah, no, this is like a underrated cemetery, in my opinion, because it's really pretty. There's a lot of famous stars too, but there's also just a lot of people that shaped pop culture here. Yeah, it's pretty wild. So thank you for pointing him out. I didn't know who he was, so I'm glad I learned something else today. Yay. Peggy Lipton, the Mod Squad. OG cool girl. I love that that's on her grave. Yeah. That's like a cool, no, not to be redundant, but like cool thing.
No, I agree. I like having that extra touch of personality on there.
Absolutely.
Like, I feel like so many graves have, you know, loving mother and wife. And like, I don't want to take away from any of that. Like, absolutely. That's a wonderful thing to have, like, to be remembered for.
But it says, beloved mama and granny bear. That's adorable. And then loyal friend, divine light, courageous and curious. I feel like even if she wasn't famous, you would stop by this and be like, who was this person? Yeah. They seem cool. I didn't realize that she was Rashida Jones' mom. For like the long, and nor did I realize Quincy Jones was her dad until I read like an interview with him. He was like, Michael's monkey, what was it, Bubbles? Was that the monkey's name that Michael Jackson had?
I don't know.
He had some chimpanzee. It was like, he bet my daughter Rashida, and I was like, Quincy Jones, Rashida. Oh, and this is like when she was on The Office. So I was like, oh my god, I didn't even realize she had a 70s sitcom star for a mom. I'm like, what a family.
That's a fact that I've learned like 3 times. Like, you know, when you hear something and then like you forget about it because it's not pertinent to everyday life.
Or it's so weird, like, your brain doesn't like, this is dark, but like I had to learn 2 or 3 times that Marvin Gaye was not only dead, but was murdered by his father.
Oh gosh, I never knew the second part. Yikes.
And I think I was with my friend Casey growing up watching E! True Hollywood Story both times. And we were like, he died? And it was like, by his dad? And I was like, we've done this before. Like, it was just so horrific we forgot. But yeah, this is another such a Hollywood thing. Like, the people who are connected to people, whether it's literal family or like godparents or best friends. Like, it's just, everyone knows everyone here. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they say, it's who you know for a reason.
Yeah. But it makes sense though, because like honestly, I like working with people I know I can trust, and I'm not even at a cool level yet, but like even at this small DIY trying to get discovered level, like there's a reason why I keep inviting people I've already had on this show back, and a lot of them were my Raquel actors for my puppet project, because I know I can rely on them.
I mean, movie making is, especially movies, but like all entertainment really, is so high intensity and high stakes because it costs so much money. That like when you have someone in, you want to know that they can deliver right away.
100%. And they're not going to be like a diva. They're not going to be like belligerent or anything that's going to cause any kind of trouble, because there's a lot of personalities out here. A lot of the time, I don't want to gaslight anyone that, you know, isn't famous or successful yet because there's so many things that go into it, mostly stemming from right place, right time.
Yeah.
But a lot of really talented people never get off the ground because their personalities kind of suck.
Oh my
or
God,
they're
all
rude
the
to people.
time.
Like
Yeah.
that's like a lot of, and I think in this like post Me Too world, which is just mostly about like sexual assault towards women, but I think it also extends to how we treat people. I think being a diva and being mean to people is flying less and less in the industry, so I think you're going to hear of less like crazies being successful.
I think you hear about that, but there's also like such a huge movement to make the lives of assistants easier.
That's
because
true
assistants
too.
they get underpaid and they get overworked.
That's been in the news a lot lately.
Yeah. Like it's a whole thing. And assistants also, like, because they're connected, they also have a ton of power. So like, when you're rude to an assistant, first of all, you're a jerk because they're underpaid and they work so hard.
And they do everything.
They do everything. But also, like, especially you hear about this, like, when you're working as an actor. Like, when you go into a casting office, like, at the end of the casting session, the casting director will turn to their assistant who was checking you at the beginning and be like, okay, who was nice and who was a jerk. Yeah.
And be nice to casting directors because there's a really good shot you're not going to be cast for what they're casting for at the
Why would
moment,
they call
but
you in
they
if they
would
don't like you?
Right. And Jenna Fisher got the role of Pam on The Office, also bringing it back to the family. But like because the cast was Allison Jones, loved her so much, but never had the right role for her. And then finally a nice girl next door that can be played by a Midwest girl like she is, the role of Pam. So you just don't. Yeah. Like I even like. Do you on Instagram ever get like casting directors like talking to you?
Not often talking to me.
There's a few and some of them are kind of scammy, but I took a phone call like 6 months ago because it was for real, but it was for a reality show. And I'm not ever going to be on any type of thing like that. That's not for me. But I'm like, I'm still going to take this call and be charming and put who I am forward because who knows what this person will do in the future.
I mean, and also just like, why be rude?
Right. And it's like have a conversation with people like and have fun. And it was about the time I was almost fully vaccinated. So I'm like a new person to talk to. Let's do it. But But she was older than I thought. For some reason, I thought she died a little bit younger, but that makes me happy that she wasn't.
Yeah, she was 60, 80, 73.
It's not the longest life, but for some reason I thought she died younger than that. So, but yeah, no, I'm glad she lived a long-ish life. 73 feels young now to me.
It feels young now.
Yes. Back in the day, it was like, well, they lived a good long life.
I mean, yeah, like even since like medieval times, like if you made it past infancy and past childhood, like you lived into your 70s. But
that's true.
One thing I've heard a bunch of comedians talking about lately is that like, what if we're the last generation before they find out how to make people live forever?
We might be, or at least the 200 mark. I feel like there was a Time magazine article that was like. The cover was a baby and it was like, will this baby live to be 200 or maybe it was 150, I forget, but I was like, oof. It's only like 5 years ago I think too. I'm like, as long as you stayed relatively young, like if you wanted to be 50 forever, that'd be fine. Maybe not 20, but I wouldn't want to be 80 forever.
I mean, listen,
somewhere in the middle.
I don't particularly care like what age my body is, so long as I'm mentally with it.
That too. But I also don't want to have aches and pains.
I mean, I have aches and pains now.
Same, but I don't want it to get worse. I want to actually 53 and not just my fake age. I can only imagine, so I don't think I want to be that for 200 more years or whatever.
Yeah, I hear you. No. But so long as I don't like have dementia.
Here.
Yeah.
That would be bad. Well, may she rest. In what might be the most annoyingly placed celebrity grave I've ever seen, we got the top row, Nell Carter. Woo! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up. My goodness gracious. Like, she is... Zoom out. Like, up there. I'm not even sure the camera will pick up her font. That's wild. I would not want to be that tall up. That's just me, though. Yeah, we found her. It's in section KK, which I like because my mom's name is KK. Short for Karen Kim.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yep. So that's fun. She Nell Carter converted to Judaism.
She did,
which is for a marriage, and she died in 2003, she was in a partnership with a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because 2003 is before the gay rights movement took off nationally, at least. Like, conversations were happening with some people, but maybe that's better lighting. But like, I wonder if she would have wanted to be outed in her death, like if it was, because I think it was private.
I don't
you know
know.
what I'm
I mean,
saying?
it's always such a weird line to walk with celebrities because on one hand, maybe it's just their life, like they don't want to share anything, you know.
Absolutely.
But especially like it's so much more intense when you're in a lesbian relationship in 2003.
Exactly, and even a couple weeks back, I was at Woodlawn, which has Sally Ride, and she died in 2012, which isn't that long ago. But my friend Lacey and I were talking, like even that was a different time.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't. You couldn't legally get married in most states. You know, like that's pretty wild. So it's just I'm very curious about her life. It seems like she had a very interesting life.
Yeah.
You know, like she went through a lot, and
yeah, no, she looked like she had several like spouses, significant others, and she must have loved them so intensely because it's no easy thing to convert to Judaism. It's an intensive you have to ask 3 times,
right,
before they'll even like consider saying yes.
Is this a myth, but are they getting more open? I heard that like it's easier to convert nowadays because they want to bring kind of literal new blood into the mix. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
I know what you're talking about. It depends on the sect.
Gotcha.
So listen, if you're Reform and you're like, I want to explore, like, you know, for sure people will like be more accepting.
Yeah.
If you're Orthodox and like you're not Jewish all the way up, then like you're not Jewish. So yeah, it totally depends on how Orthodox you're going to be about it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I heard that with like all the genealogy stuff we know now, that it's better to not have, like the BRCA gene can be very common with not just Jewish genes, but like other genes where there's a lot of like keeping within your own kind, if you will, kind of stuff.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there are whole like diseases that only affect Jewish people.
Right.
Like that are just like they're hereditary, or like something about our genes is like it can only affect us for whatever reason.
I need to get DNA tested really badly because I have so many questions about where I come from. Allegedly, I'm Jewish on my mom's side.
That makes you Jewish.
Yeah, because
passes through the mother.
Yep, because of all the raping and pillaging. That was one of the reasons.
Wait.
You don't know this? Okay, so I've studied religious studies. That's like my background in academia. And so the reason why they had it through the mom was because back in the day, if a mother was raped, then even if it was not a Jewish rapist.
Yeah.
This is so weird.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It counts because it's through the mom. Like that's how it got started. I'm not saying that like that's all the reasons it continued, but that was a big part of why that started.
I don't know if like I've just always known that Judaism passes down through the mother. I wasn't sure if it was like in the Torah or the Bible or like
it might be. There might be something in there, but I think it was like a preventative from like and having the tribes accept the child and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Yeah, because if your dad's Jewish and it is like an ethnic thing, you're still got Jewish blood. Yeah. So it's like, but back in those times, that's not how people thought either. Yeah. So, so yeah, but allegedly, but then also, it's like this whole thing where I guess her grandfather, my great-grandfather, like changed about the time of like maybe around World War II, before World War II, I don't know.
Oh, changed his name?
No, not the name, but changed religions. They were in the Midwest in the 20s or 30s.
That happened a lot, yeah.
Pre-World War II. I'm kind of like rounding up too much. But yeah, and then it was like this deathbed secret that like...
Oh, for sure. That kind of thing happens all the time because like between the Holocaust and the pogroms and the Spanish Inquisition, like it all, like people hate the Jews. And,
in Indiana,
like, having to hide it, absolutely.
And so, and there's certain things, I'm not going to out all my family names, like all the maiden names and stuff, but like there's things that kind of back it up, and my grandmother looks not like, you know, waspy European, if you will. Yeah. You know, so like I kind of buy it. It meant I didn't grow up Jewish, but it meant something to my mom. You know, I have her menorah. You know, there was just, that's other topics that are probably too off topic for now, but then I was telling my aunt that, who's my dad's sister, and she was like, oh, the same thing happened with your grandfather, her dad. He was being recorded before he died about family history, and he started talking about Judaism and then stopped and refused to keep talking.
Interesting.
So I might be Jewish on both sides. I don't know if DNA tests, if they can figure out what the mom and the father genes are. I wish one of them was still alive, because I wanted my mom to get tested so we could like kind of do a control group, if you will. But then she passed, so I don't know. I don't know. I'm Irish, I know that much, and I'm other things too. But Jewish can mean a lot of things too, though.
I mean, the diaspora is so wide.
Yes. So I don't know. I'm not religious at all. I've said that in other videos, but I am more down for Judaism than most organized religions, because it's like tradition and about family, and it's not commercialized.
Judaism is such a religion of joy, which is the thing that makes me like it all religious. I'm not sure I believe in a big beardy dude up in the sky, although most Jews don't.
I know, it's true. That's like, I think part of why I'm like kind of down with it too.
But like it's the whole Judaism is all about how you live your life, not like what you expect to happen after you die.
And I love that so much. That's my kind of religion if I had to pick a religion.
Yeah.
So. Yep. I don't know. It's interesting. So, would I have to convert all the way? Or does my blood count?
I mean, depends what synagogue you're going to.
That's true.
Yeah. There's a bunch of Reform synagogues that are just like, hey, you want to come to services? Yeah, come on down to services. And that's fine. And then there are others that are like, your mom and your mom's mom and your mom's mom's mom.
Need references. Like the Daughters of the American Revolution. Need everything notarized.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, that's funny. Fun Judaism talks. Thank you, Nell Carter.
Thank you, Nell Carter. And thank you for going through all the work to convert, because it's not insubstantial.
And she kept it long after she divorced. I mean, that's clearly something. She married that guy in the 80s, and she died in 2003, and I don't think they're married for too long, so.
Yeah, it seemed like they were only married for like a few years.
Yeah.
But, stuck with it. Way to go, Nell.
Yay. One of the chosen people. We got Milton Berle, who's like a name. Like, I don't know too much about him, but he's a name, and I know that. But you know more, like the theme in the cemetery. You know more. What's up? Who is he?
He's like the first big American television star.
Like even before Lucille Ball.
Yeah, like before Lucille Ball, because Lucille Ball, like, I don't think he was as big as her, because I Love Lucy was just so massive.
Right.
But he came from like a performance variety show background. So like he was the guy who, like, every time you had a big variety type show, he would be your host. So like he was known for that kind of thing. So he was like the first, whereas I think Lucille Ball was the biggest of but he was a child star. He like made the transition from, I think, radio to television really well. And feature films even he was in. His career spanned over 80 years. Yeah,
he was in vaudeville. I remember reading that part.
Yeah. That's why it translated so well to variety shows, right? Because that's the same thing.
Especially back then.
Yeah, exactly. So, he became known as like Uncle Milty.
That's great. That's like, a great name.
Right? Like he had a couple of like TV series that were like variety show types. But that's like where he differentiated from Lucille Ball, is that Lucille Ball was like a sitcom.
Yes.
Like she was a character.
Yes.
Like even if the character was like pretty highly based on herself, like still a character, whereas like Milton Berle was like himself.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's a good, that makes sense. I'll have to look up his stuff more on like YouTube and stuff. But he doesn't seem to have any family around him, which kind of concerns me. I don't know much about his personal life, obviously, unless that's supposed to be for him. But I can't imagine.
I mean, it's possible that someone is just like his wife or whatever is outliving him for a long time, but also his entire family is from New York.
Yeah.
He is. Oh shoot! I looked up what his like birth name was, and I've forgotten it.
We can look it up. Grandpa
like
Milton. That's
Milka
cool.
Berlinger or something like that. Like something like very Jewish.
Yeah.
And so he kind of like Goyish-ified his name a little bit to work on achievement, as many Jews do, especially at the time when they had to.
Yes. Which is weird because they ran Hollywood. So it's like funny that like the people that ran Hollywood had to hide their identities from the all-American people.
There it is. Yeah. It's like the audiences are the ones who like maybe wouldn't tune in to see like Berlinger.
Yes.
But they'll turn in to see Berle.
Yes.
But his entire family is from New York, from like Brooklyn. So my guess is just that his family is there.
Gotcha.
But that's a guess. I don't actually know.
It's 1908. That's his wife would have had to be pretty young because his wife would be very old if they were born at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like he lived to, what is that? 6 years? 94?
Yeah, 93. I think he was before his birthday. Right before
Okay.
we came here, it said 93. I might be wrong.
Okay.
I'll do the font that says, yep, nope, because I'm always having to correct myself. Another iconic.
Yeah.
This is a very iconic. It's underrated, this cemetery. It's pretty cool. All right, we got this in the first video, but it's still Larry King. And the more time I've had, the more I think it's his. For anyone that's wondering, it's by the fountain, right here. What do you think the odds are that it's Larry King? Our Larry King. CNN's Larry King.
I mean, it's certainly possible. Listen, King is not the most unique last name, as you pointed out, and Lawrence is a very popular name amongst Jewish men, especially of a certain age.
We don't know what age this guy is, though.
That's true.
So, his birth and death dates we could have figured out
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, because it's a temporary thing, it's clearly like a recent death.
He died in January or February, so
Yeah.
I feel like it's him.
I think the odds are pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think especially since it says Larry King. It's not like a Lawrence.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people do their full names, but if it's someone that's famous, like we just saw Milton Berle's grave,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Berle, yeah.
So I kind of feel like, and there's empty spaces next to it. He had a wife, he had children, some who died before him, which was very sad, but he had a bunch still living. So I don't know. I think it's him. We'll find out. One day we'll find out.
We'll find out. Yeah.
But may he rest, or this other Larry King, may he rest. Either which way.
I mean, whoever it is, I hope that they rest.
I hope they had a good life.
Yeah,
for sure. Sammy Shore, who started the comedy club with his former wife Mitzi, and he's the father of Pauly Shore.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. This time you knew something I didn't.
Yay! I'm finally doing it. I wish I knew a little bit more about Sammy Shore. We just kind of stumbled upon him. I knew he was here, but
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm gonna say something. I kind of like Pauly Shore movies. They get a bad rap. But I watched a few, like I want to say in the past 5 years, and I'm like, he's a good comedy actor. Like the plots are like whatever, but like I think he's very watchable. So
Listen, if it brings you joy,
yeah,
don't let anyone take that away from you.
I like your son. I think your son's kind of cool. So I don't know. And then Mitzi Shore, she died kind of recently too. He died in 2019. Didn't she only die a year or two ago?
Maybe. I
feel like she was.
I don't know what
recent
time it is
death.
anymore.
I think she's elsewhere though. I don't think she's here. But yeah, who knows what time it is anymore. Fair point. Very fair point. But yeah, she was like a staple at the Comedy Store, I think, until close to her death. You know, like she ran it and would do like a Thanksgiving Day thing for all the comedians and homeless as well, I think. So cool family. I know they're divorced, so I don't know what the situation was, but I think they're a cool legacy family. So
Listen, they made cool stuff happen, and they're still bonded in some way.
absolutely, in legacy and culture for sure.
Yeah.
And out here, the Comedy Store means so much to so many of our friends. I saw Kristen Lucas perform there.
Why do they call Kristen? Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal to perform there. So I got to see her debut. So that's fun. But in the before times, about 6 months before the pandemic. So you know. Is that open? Do you know if that's back open? Must be. The store.
I mean, Flappers is, so I imagine it is.
Yeah, improv clubs are not back, but stand-up clubs are. So, but improv clubs are coming back.
They are, slowly.
Yeah, I'm not coming back, but I quit before the pandemic, so I quit before it was cool. I'm a hipster of improv. Yay, Sammy Shore. All right, well, that's going to do it for today.
Yeah.
We found, frankly, more than I was thinking we would.
Yeah, we found like a solid
We didn't
number.
get to everyone. We kind of ran out of time, but we had, I think, some good talks.
Yeah.
Like I was telling her when we were walking to here, I was like, I didn't get to ask you like the deathy questions, but we did talk a lot about death, which sounds like a Captain Obvious thing in a cemetery, but it's, believe it or not, not always.
It's amazing how good we are at avoiding the subject.
Yeah, and even with like other guests, we just talk about the pop culture aspects of things, and that's like when I'm like, so are you afraid of death, or so do you want to be buried or cremated? But we kind of went into a lot of that. So I think I'll be back at some point for a part 3, and you should definitely come back for either this part 3 or another episode.
I would love to.
This was delightful. Thank you so much for being on here. And
thank you for having me.
oh my god, no, I'm
Oh gosh. Your bag caught it.
Yay! Grimmy's bag caught it. Grimmy to the rescue! Grimmy to the rescue! But yeah, no, I was excited to have you on because we've known each other for a while, but we got like closer since right before we got vaccinated. Like we kind of kept in touch in the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to hang out before the pandemic, but our crazy Hollywood schedules wouldn't allow it. And now that life's kind of back,
and
we're like, we're friends now.
Exactly. Once everything went away.
Yes.
We found some outdoor activities and we made it work.
We did, and now we like semi-regularly hang out. So it's good to get to collab, and we'll be back. So stay alive until next time, guys. Bye.